Let me call this June 10th meeting of the Concord Select Board to order. I appreciate you all making yourselves available for this meeting. We have a single agenda item, and that is to discuss the outdoor dining and extension of licensed premises submitted by 80 Thoreau. I think you all received packets of information from Ian or from Jeremy earlier in the day. Ian, would you introduce yourself and sort of give us a general sense of what you're trying to accomplish?
Of course. My name is Ian Calhoun. I am the owner of 80 Thoreau. For anyone who hasn't been here, we opened in 2011. And like everyone else, we're kind of adjusting during the COVID-19 pandemic. And, one major adjustment is to move dining, at least temporarily, outside, which, I view as a unique combination of public health and kind of economic interest to get some people dining at the restaurant.
And you're breaking up, Ian. Do you have a second
probably
device?
Safer than bringing them into the restaurant, which isn't yet allowed by the state. Okay, let me try different locations. Bear with me, I'm gonna have to move. But unfortunately, I don't have a camera on my computer here. But
Okay.
We can see you.
Well, he's using his phone probably.
Yeah.
I am.
Okay. As I understand your application, the outdoor dining capability that you articulated is, for those of you familiar with the restaurant, there's a paved area that runs in front of the restaurant along in front of the depot. And then there's a raised area from which you enter the restaurant and other facilities there. And your intention is to have tables on that raised, elevated platform in front of the restaurant. Is that correct? I see Stephen shaking his head. That's what the map seems to indicate to me. Is that correct, Ian, that the tables are going to be?
I just moved for a better reception. The tables are in front of the restaurant on kind of a raised area. It used to be a train station, so that's an old platform. So they do not extend beyond the lot line of the building. They are in front of the restaurant, underneath the kind of sloping roof.
Oh, can I ask the question
Jane?
from my own perspective? So how does that affect the other businesses? I assume you're in front of them to get all of those tables.
We none of our tables actually impede with any of the access to the other businesses, nor any of the building's egresses. It's actually, the area is quite large. The whole seating area is 2 13 by 26 foot kind of areas. And we use them both, but we don't use the middle, which is the entrance to the store, Juju. And we don't interact at all with the optical shop or the second floor consultancy. So, and our drawing allows for a handicapped aisle across the front of the building. So there's, ADA access throughout, no egress is compromised. And furthermore, the dining takes place when most of the businesses are closed anyway. But
right.
even if
I was just trying to get a.
All right. Are there other questions for Ian? I have a couple.
Actually, I have a question.
Susan?
And you may have had this in the application, but is there some sort of a boundary down the step in front of that, so people will know that it's kind of cordoned off for dining?
Yes. So, first of all, it is elevated from the street. And, between the railing system that exists now near the stairs and the ramps, we will connect a few lightweight chains in 2 locations to completely cordon off the patio from the public way.
Great, thank you.
Susan, I would note for the record that in the license that application that was submitted, there is a condition, and is the outdoor seating must be enclosed by a fence, rope, or other means to prevent access from a public way. So you explained how he's planning to do that as a requirement, or along with the requirement from public health that the seating must be in compliance with the COVID-19 plan submitted by the applicant. Linda, you had a question?
Yeah, just a couple, and one is if you could, Ian, if you could say just a little bit more about where the kitchen staging area is, what the service staging area will be.
Yes, it's directly inside the patio. We have a bit of an unusual restaurant setup in that most of our restaurant is on the 2nd floor of the building.
Right.
And we're fortunate in that the patio can be accessed both by the restaurant's front door and by the restaurant's service door. And there is essentially a little vestibule because the building used to have a different kind of configuration, but we are the only tenant at the moment that uses the vestibule. So right inside one of the doors, we have a couple landing areas, one for food coming down, one for dirty dishes. And our plan is to kind of use our 2 entrances to route the guests who may need to use the restroom through the restaurant's front door, and to maintain the service entrance kind of for the staff. So, we've put some thought into separating the staff and the guests to the maximum extent possible.
Terrific. And I'm glad that, you're making an effort to get up and running, and, that'll be good for you and for the town as well. But you probably know better than I at this point in terms of the other regulations that have come down from the state. And one of them was signage and attestation about having met certain requirements. So where will the signage be?
The signage is located inside the guest front door. So a guest, traveling from the patio to the restroom would see it. We have been in operation continuously. So we reviewed the checklist and completed the attestation on May 25th. So we have been working, under the state's guidelines for a few weeks.
Great, thank you.
Other questions? Terry, did you have any questions? Ian, this really doesn't have anything formal to do with it, but I know as someone who's had the occasion to take advantage of your takeout capability over the last few weeks, that my common method of doing that is to pull up right in front of the restaurant's door and then call a restaurant and ask, and then they bring you down your meal. Is that going to still continue, and will that impact on the outdoor dining facility?
The curbside service will still be offered. I don't think so. There's no, the patio is set completely inside from the doors. And the tables are located relatively kind of deep on the 13-foot platform that we do have. So I don't foresee it, being a problem.
Okay. Well, it was more just a question than any real concern.
Yeah.
I do note for the record that we do have a letter of support and approving his plan from Period RT LLC as the property owner. So that also is a requirement for this, since this is not a public parking but private facility. Are there any additional questions for Ian? Stephen?
I just want to comment briefly that thanking Ian for his patience working with the town departments on putting this together. Actually, Jeremy is working on a checklist, an application that other restaurants will be able to fill out. And so Ian did a lot of tough work and got us focused on what needs to be done. It'll be a lot easier for the restaurants to follow. But the only message I want to have to the community is the guidance we had town council review the governor's guidance because it's new to all of us, and select board approval for outdoor dining is required even if it doesn't include alcohol. That, you know, outdoor dining is the thing that normally requires approvals by planning board or ZBA or something like that, and they have allowed the board, the select board, the authority to do that without a lot of red tape or hoops to jump through, those, so to speak, during this temporary. It's a temporary thing, obviously, during the state of emergency. And I think we are trying to make it as easy as possible for restaurants to open and offer outdoor dining, and we're committed to that. I think we'll have that checklist done here in the next day or so, if that long. And so a lot of the information that we are going to require was based on back and forth with Ian. So I want to thank him for his patience, and he's doing his other colleagues in the restaurant world a big favor by getting through this. And so we're glad to make sure we can get you approved quickly.
Yes, that's my pleasure. I think it is, and I would say for anyone listening, it is very important for restaurants economically, and I think from a public health standpoint, I think if we are able to succeed as a community or a town with outdoor dining, restaurants won't feel the very strong need to go inside, as soon as they're able. And it's my preference that if my restaurant can break even serving some people outside, we could actually do it longer, even once we're allowed to go back in. So, I think it's about creating something that can be, sustainable, that could have also, public health benefits in the future.
Great. Jane, did I see your hand?
Well, I just noted that Stephen brought up the alcohol, and I assume you're planning to serve, since that's part of your dining establishment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will note, as I've driven around town, that some of the restaurants that already have approval for outdoor dining have begun doing that.
Main streets.
Say what?
Main streets.
And I drove by Trails End Cafe, I think it was yesterday, and they had outdoor dining around the lunch area. Stephen, I hope that as soon as this application that Jeremy's been working on has been completed and passed muster, we'll find a way to positively get it in the hands of all the restaurants in town. So I see Jeremy and Stephen nodding their heads. So.
Yeah, we I don't think I've had a chance to report to the board. We have email addresses on file for all restaurant licensees, and we had a Zoom meeting, and Ian was on that as well. Thank you for attending. I think we had at least 30 restaurant establishments represented, and it was a good discussion. We will distribute through that list. In fact, I know we've been requested to, Susan and I have been asked to jump on the Economic Vitality Committee meeting here. So after we adjourn, I'm going to switch over to that and let them know that we'll have that ready to go as soon as possible.
All right. Are there any additional questions here? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Sorry.
All right.
I'll move to approve the outdoor dining and extension of licensed premises request of 80 Thoreau Street, as shown in the drawing provided by Ian Colhoun, owner and manager. This approval is effective immediately.
Second.
Second. Any little discussion? Will the clerk please call a roll?
Ms. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Ackerman?
Aye.
Ms. Hotchkiss?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
Aye.
Myself, Ms. Escobedo? Aye.
Thank you. I note that it passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Ian. And we hope you have a very successful outdoor dining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see some of you tonight.
Ah, wouldn't that be nice?
When are you starting?
Well, 5 p.m.
Just nick of time.
45 minutes.
Oh, you better get back to work then.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all.
Jeremy, I would also say that while I did note, as did Jane, that Main Street Cafe seems to be using that alleyway, and Trails End and other restaurants in town I know have been approved for outdoor dining. I think Adelita has an outdoor dining capability, perhaps, and Woods Hill Table, but they each of those restaurants is restricted in terms of the number of outdoor seats that they're allowed to have. And there's a trade-off between the outdoor seating and the indoor seating. So we might want to pay a particular attention to them if they want to try to expand their outdoor seating beyond that, which was previously approved. They would probably need to come to us with that request. So we want to, when we write to them with this application, we might want to indicate that to
I think in the case of Main Streets, it actually had something to do with their alcohol license as well,
It does. Then I don't think they're allowed to serve
outside.
outside because I think
Right.
it's just a lunchtime. My recollection, that was a
Right.
few years
That's
ago.
that's my point.
Mr. Anderson came for. All right, is there any additional business to come before the select board? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So a second, would the clerk please call a roll?
Ms. Ackerman? Ms. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Hotchkiss?
Aye.
Mr. Lawson?
Aye,
Myself, Ms. Escobedo, aye.
passes unanimously. Thank you all very much. We're adjourned.